It was just a matter of time before webtoons and manhwa would adapt to animated forms, taking in mind how increasingly popular they became on the internet. With the rise in popularity of Korean pop culture, this was something very expected. People get ready, Lookism is coming out very soon, so stay with me until the end as I have some really interesting news to share with you. Now let's jump in with a short recap. Before I start, however, I want to make some things more clear. This animated series didn't have a previous season, but there had been a Korean webtoon version of the same name a long time ago. Fans are readily excited about the upcoming anime, and the different storylines and plot are what makes the show different and eye-catching. The official Twitter account of Netflix Anime shared exciting news just a month ago. Lookism is coming to Netflix on November 4th. Park Hyung-suk navigates high school life while switching between two very different bodies. That never happened, but it seems like we'll get a late December surprise from the streaming giant. The show will be telling the story of Park Hyung-suk, a 17-year-old boy who has always considered himself as not fitting into the social pecking order and unattractive. Due to his unattractive looks and weight, he had always been subjected to bullying and harsh comments. This would be just a regular anime. Lookism pulls out the dirty truth about discrimination in our society. It pulls out the picture of how we see people based on the first look and label them with a certain status. The webtoon managed to bring light to the difference in treatment people receive. So this is why I say that Lookism breaks down the social barrier of discrimination. Isn't that great? Anyway, if you've never read the manhwa for this show, you'll find this very helpful. We meet Hyung-suk, our main character whose life is turned around. Why? Well, because he's given the opportunity to switch his body with another one, a healthy and attractive body. Through this newfound body, he finds out how society truly torments him, the ugly thought and reality of how people are two-faced and evil. In the school society, this manhwa takes abuse to an all-new level. That is a place where fights break out every day, but they can resolve these fights with their fists. We're talking about a private high school, not a place where fights of this nature and scale should be existed. But fights are not the only bad thing here. We see children forced into public humiliation or bullied to the extent of having pens drilled into their skin. Yeah, some things look a bit unreal, but nobody expects that it should be 100% accurate. Do you really think society would let that go? I don't really know how to answer this question. For some parts of the story, it's obvious the author is reaching into his pockets. Okay, back to the story now. One of the bullies, Lee Tae-sung, leads the departure of Hyung-suk from his high school to Seoul in another prep school. But here, in his new school, Jae-won-hai hits that like button just like you should if you haven't done so already. No really, he followed a different approach. A bit unconventional in both the method of education and teaching, Hyung-suk finds himself in a completely different reality. After his departure to his new school, where he transforms into a taller, handsome, slimmer boy, once he got this new body, he realized that his original self was sleeping right beside him. Makes sense. At that very moment, he realizes the shocking truth when he enters and wakes up in one body, that another body falls asleep. Yeah, it's a bit complicated, I know. Doesn't that make it more interesting? Now let's talk about the characters a little bit. Obviously, the main protagonist, as mentioned before, is Park Hyung-suk. How to describe our main character? So yes, he's a crybaby, and when it comes to understanding information or interpreting what is going on around him, he's blind as a bat. Somehow he was granted a supermodel celebrity image, and he became handsome as a whistle. He stays perfectly fit, despite never having to train his body to work out. How? Nobody knows, but let's not hold on to the ground that much. Hong Jae-yul, or Jay if you wish, is the first person to pick a fight with Park. He loses, by the way, and I don't know if we will have that in the series. I hope not, because that would mean that I spoiled the story. If it happens, I'm really sorry. Anyway, once that happens, he stops fighting to appease Kim Mi-jin and becomes buddy-buddy with Park despite being riled up every episode for not fighting. This story would have been boring if the main protagonist didn't have some love interest. So there she is, Kim Mi-jin, who constantly is against fighting despite being harassed and picked on by bullies. She doesn't want violence, so she even tells Lee Jin-sung to stop fighting while he was extremely beaten by bullies. "I'm sorry, hun, you're stupid." Yep, her line. Last but not the least, there's Lee Yun-tae, or Vasco, who decided to train to fight back. It's very easy to relate to all these characters, and I'm more than sure that this show will make you a much better person. Lookism was an enjoyable webtoon, but the Netflix anime should reach a higher roof. Now I want to spend a moment talking about the release date. Lookism first appeared back in November 2014 when it was released on Naver WEBTOON. A real Park Tae-jun masterpiece with 19 compiled editions, it was released in the US, Taiwan, Indonesia, China, France, Spain, and Japan. As a result of the subjects, Lookism grew in popularity and it became a worldwide sensation. Tencent developed a 38-episode Chinese TV show called Wei Mao Jiang Shi based on Lookism back in 2019. So we know that the story won't stop. But it was really exciting for the fans when Netflix revealed that an animated version of Lookism will hit the screens on November 4th this year. The November 4th release didn't happen, and the premiering date has now been pushed back in light of the devastating tragedy in Itaewon. This was one of the most awaited South Korean webtoon anime adaptations for this year, so most likely we'll get a late December release, but right now, we'll have to understand this situation. In the meantime, we can talk about the webtoon and wait for an official statement from the creators. Unique character designers have breathed life into the main characters of the original manga, giving them vivid voices, dynamic direction, and gorgeous effects. Through fascinating episodes with a slightly different feel compared to the original manga, this series will deliver excitement and new discoveries. Shared webtoon on Twitter. I know that a lot of people underestimate the story because it's real, but true anime lovers know what I'm talking about. The cool thing is that we have an official trailer as well, so we have a first look at the season. The video was released on 25th September 2022 by Netflix. The 1-minute video was released in the Korean language, but there's an English subtitle as well. The trailer opens with Park Hyung-suk smashing that subscribe button and hitting that notification bell. No, really. In all seriousness now, the video opens with Park Hyung-suk, the show's main lead character, saying that everyone would just laugh at me, following a few scenes where he's bullied, but there's a plot twist when he finds himself completely changed and unrecognizable. After seeing himself in the mirror one night, he realizes he's a different version of his usual self and completely changed to be more good-looking, taller, slimmer, and handsome. So yes, we'll stay patient until we get another release date, but until then, we'll share our theories. I just hope that we'll get this season sooner rather than later, and what about you? What do you think will be the main focus of the season? Do you think that they should include something different than the webtoon story? Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.